Good day, everyone, and welcome to Home at the Hollow, to my kitchen, and to my 12 days of Christmas cookies. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's cookie recipe is for a praline thumbprint cookie. This is about as close as you are going to get taste-wise, naturally, to a praline. So if you are interested in a recipe like this, or if you just want to come and hang out with me for a little while, then keep on watching. We are going to get started on our praline thumbprint cookies, but I want to go over the dough ingredients for you. I have 1 cup of butter, 2 sticks of butter softened. I have a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and a 1/2 cup of lightly packed brown sugar, 1 egg at room temperature. I have, of course, my vanilla close by, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, since my butter is salted, I'm going to omit the salt. If you're using unsalted butter, please add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I also have 1/2 cup of finely chopped pecans. So we're going to start by creaming our butter. My goodness, all the butter that has been in this kitchen. I'm going to just, break it up a little bit. I'm going to add my sugars, or I'm going to try. Here we go. And that looks like it's doing great. We're going to add just a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to add my room temperature egg. I'm going to scrape my sides and make sure everything is very, very well incorporated. I think I'm about due for a new paddle for this. I received this mixer as a Mother's Day gift many years ago. Oh my goodness. Let's just say it's had a lot of rotation since then. We're going to just get this mixed until it's nice and smooth. So we have this nice and smooth, creamy, beautiful. I mean, what's not to like about butter and a couple of different sugars, but there we are. I'm gonna raise this again on low. I'm going to add my 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and it looks like I lost a little bit. And I'm going to just mix my baking soda in here and just kind of start incorporating my flour. So I have my flour totally incorporated here. I've scraped my bowl down, and it makes a very stiff dough. At this point, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of finely chopped pecans. Just give it a bit. And you don't want to beat the pecans in, you just want to fold them very gently into the dough. And I think that looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is, see if I can get this out for you guys. I'm working kind of, for me, is a little backwards, but hey, anything for you guys. So yeah, it's like a really stiff dough. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. Well, I'm actually going to get it all pushed down in the bottom of my bowl, but I'm going to get it covered with plastic wrap and put in the fridge a minimum of half an hour before we start working with the dough. So guys, while either your cookies or your dough is chilling in the fridge or whether they're baking in the oven, in the meantime, what you want to do is to make your praline filling. I'm adding a cup of packed brown sugar and a half a cup of either half and half or evaporated milk. Have 1 tablespoon standing by and a cup and a half to a cup and 2/3 of confectioner sugar. But what we want to do with this mixture is to warm it, bring it to a boil, and allow this to boil for 4 minutes. So this is one of those things that I like to start off with low and slow to make it sure there's no like bits of brown sugar like I'm breaking up here. Break up all your bits and make sure it's as smooth as it can be. And I'd like for mine to dissolve before I start boiling it. I guess I'm just, you know, I don't know, it works for me. So I just thought I'd pass that along to you guys. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep working this until it starts to boil. When it starts to boil, I might skosh it down a little bit, set my timer for 4 minutes, and stirring constantly, boil that for 4 minutes. Remove it from the heat. We'll add our 1 tablespoon of butter until it's melted, and I'm thinking it probably won't take long. And then using a hand mixer, start whipping in your confectioner sugar. But I'll be back for all of that. So guys, it probably took maybe 3 minutes or so to bring this to a boil. And I've got my timer set for 4 minutes. And we are going to keep stirring and boiling. And go from there. I will be back in just a few minutes. So we are at the halfway point. We've got about 2 more minutes, and you can see it. We are at a full rolling boil, and that's exactly what you want. And, you know, scrape your sides to make sure there's no sugar that's going to, you know, ruin it. And we're going to just keep going. And so we are just about at the end of our boil. You can see the beautiful brown color that it is. And that's okay as long as, you know, you keep stirring and keep stirring. I've got my butter standing by. And my timer's getting ready to go. I've actually turned my heat off for like 30 seconds ago. And with these kind of burners, it just keeps going. I'm going to add... There you go. I'm going to add that and take it off the heat a little bit because we don't need for it to continue. But I'm going to stir this until this butter is melted, and I will take you to my counter in just a minute. So we're back on my counter. My butter is virtually melted. And you can see it's, it just looks, and it smells wonderful. And I'm going to say that's pretty good. And I'm going to just start adding my 1.5 to 1 2/3 of confectioner sugar. If I can do this. I'm going to add just a little bit here. I think you guys can see it. And depending on if you sift your confectioner sugar or not, you may have to give this a really good whipping. But if you have any lumps in your confectioner sugar, it will come out because of the heat. It will work out. I think you guys can see. This is, oh my goodness, this is going to be so good. I've made this so many times, and I can tell you this is the closest you're going to come to a natural praline flavor without adding any kind of like artificial extracts or anything like that. This is as close as it's going to come. Now what you might need to do, see, because this I think is really a little bit too thin to fill a thumbprint cookie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more in here. And it's just going to be one of those things where you just kind of have to kind of gauge how much you really need to put in there. And, you know, how thick that you want it. You certainly don't want it hard, too thick, because once the cookies are baked and cooled, we will put a dollop of this in the middle of the cookie and 1 pecan half on top of this. Let's see where our I think I'm going to, excuse my reach here, guys. I'm going to add, I think I'm going to just go ahead and add the rest of this. If I add too much confectioner sugar and I think it's just too stiff, just get a little bit of your evaporated milk or your half and half and just loosen it up. Just, I mean, by the dropful. I would not add too much to this once you get it too thick. But, you know, it's just a gradual process. And look how gorgeous that looks, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking that this is pretty close. And let's just, that looks pretty good. Let's just get a spoon. I know it's going to taste good. And I think that you can see it just, once it cools, this will firm up quite a bit. So I'm going to say that that's good. And also at this point, guys, as you can see, mine is firming up. If you want to, before it gets too firm, if you want to add just maybe a half a teaspoon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract, you can. But this is where we are. Doesn't that look just wonderful? Oh my goodness. So at this point, guys, I'm going to bake off just a few of these. At this point, if you want to form all of your dough up, flash freeze it, cover it and flash freeze it, and have these frozen ready. But at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bit of a dent here. If you find that it's sticking, just a little bit of powdered confectioner sugar or, you know, what have you. But I'm not having too much of a trouble with mine. Mine's firm, definitely firm from being in the fridge. I think mine has been in there about a half an hour. And I'm going to keep this measuring spoon handy when they come out so I can kind of retamp them down. I'm going to bake them at 350. I'm going to start at 8 minutes. And I'm going to see how they go from there. More than likely, it's going to be, with my oven, it's going to be about 10 to 12 minutes. But there you go. We've got a few going, and you can see the pecans running throughout this. And I'll keep you guys posted. So guys, I just pulled these out from the oven. I mean, they are major, major hot. They did spread a little bit. These have always done that. And I'm going to just give them a little divot while they're cooling. And that's all you need to do. And just let them totally cool before we go on to the next step. So we are pretty close to being cooled. I'll let you guys see the bottoms of these. I let them go and I let them bake. I check them at 10 minutes. Of course, I always rotate them halfway through. I check them at 10 and I'm like, I think they need another couple of minutes. So I let them go for the full 12 minutes and they are cooling. They are getting there. But I've got my filling here and I'm going to just give a good dollop. Take a pecan half, toasted or untoasted, whatever works for you, and there you go. Guys, this is about as close, whoops, as close as you're going to get to a praline unless you go and actually shop for pralines that are made or you decide to cook some on your own. I probably will make some pralines in the future. The recipe is in my cookbook. And, you know, when I moved away, I really didn't have a spot to, you know, just have a praline, right? When you need a praline, you just need a praline, right? And so I learned pretty quickly how to cook pralines at home. And I've actually heard, well, you know, to someone that I just gifted them to, I've heard, well, I've been to New Orleans and I've had pralines and yours are better than theirs. So that was an incredible compliment. And I appreciate it. And, you know, it was kind of like they acted like they were surprised, like no one could make a praline as good as what you can get in New Orleans. Well, I have to tell you, and I told them, and I'll tell you guys, I don't come in here and make something because it's mediocre. It's going to have to be really, really good. So we're going to let these continue to cool. And I hope you come back and join me for a taste test. And so we are back in the kitchen. These have cooled off very, very well. These came out so nicely. For me and my cookie scoop, and you guys have seen what I'm working with, I scooped up 28 cookies. I only baked off 6. I've got the rest of my dough and my filling, my praline filling in the freezer. So the next time anyone I have over for dinner, or if I just want to treat myself after a really long day, then all I have to do is go right to my freezer. But these just, oh my goodness, these came out just really, really pretty. And of course, I'm going to pick one up here and let you have a very, very Good look. These these are delicious. And I guess by now you guys have already kind of surmised I don't like to use a lot of artificial like flavorings and things like that. So if I can do it, you know, naturally, you may be able to find a praline extract somewhere. But as for me, I don't need that. But let's just see, let's see. Now it's going to have crisp edges. I went the full 12 minutes for this, but yes, guys, these are so good. Very, very good. These are on page 208 of my cookbook. I hope you give them a try. I'm going to leave the ingredients below. But, you know, buying a cookbook from me is an incredible way of showing channel love and channel support. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you are all enjoying your cookbooks that I've sent out. And I enjoyed writing the cookbook and making the cookbook. It was really quite the process. It took me probably almost a year of compiling everything over the last, oh my goodness, over the last 50 years of working in the kitchen, what works, what doesn't work, and sharing some of my very best, not all of my very best, but some of my very best. So page 208 in my cookbook. I hope you give these a try. You guys are going to love them. And I want to thank you again so much for joining me here, home at the Hollow. Bye, guys.